Hello world, welcome back to the Razor RC, and today we're doing a little bit of a different type of video. We're doing a comparison between the Tekno MT410 over here on the left and the Arrma Outcast 4S V2 over here on the right. A lot of people thought this was a bit of a strange comparison when I first proposed this, but I think it actually makes a bit of a sense, and I think hopefully you'll understand why as we get into the video. Tekno MT410 has been out for about 6 years or so. It is a 110 scale electric 4-wheel drive 4S capable monster truck or stunt truck, and the Outcast, again, 110 scale electric 4-wheel drive 4S monster truck or stunt truck. And looking at these two, you can see they're actually almost exactly the same size. The Tekno has the backflip tires and wheels mounted on it. It does come as a kit, so you have to supply your own wheels and tires, your own body, own electronics. The Arrma is a ready to run, comes completely equipped, ready to go out of the box, and again comes with the backflip LP tires stock out of the box. And track width, when you measure these things side by side, they're actually exactly the same track width. They're both 17.25 inches in width. Wheelbase almost exactly the same. I'd say probably maybe 10 millimeters, maybe a half inch in wheelbase closeness. The Outcast is actually a hair shorter, but very, very close. As you can see in this video, they're almost identical in wheelbase. So same size, same capabilities, forest capable. I even have the same tires, actually mounted very similar electronics as well. And so yeah, I thought I'd talk about these two vehicles and why we're doing a little bit of comparison. Tekno I've had for a few years now, and looking at it, it does come as a kit. I am actually running Arrma electronics straight out of a Creighton V1 4S monster truck, and then the Arrma over here has a stock Spectrum electronics. Again, pretty much same electronics. They didn't really change the Spectrum electronics other than just rebranding them and adding some telemetry, but the motor, ESC, very, very similar to the V1 Creighton electronics. So both of them force capable, both of them 2400 kV motors. ESCs are both 120 amps, so pretty much the same capabilities, same adjustments, that kind of thing. Servo wise, I am running the stock servo obviously in the Outcast, and then over here on the Tekno I am actually running a Hobby Star servo, just a cheap like $40 servo. And then receiver wise, I both have Spectrum receivers in them. This one has the SR315. This has a little bit of a different receiver. I forget the name, like the 6100 or something like that. But they're both being controlled with the same DX5 Pro radio. So out of the box, you know, they are pretty much equipped identically, so I think it makes for a little bit of an interesting comparison because the wheelbase, the size, the electronics, everything is very, very similar, but yet again they're also very different. This is a kit, you have to build it yourself, you have to supply the body, electronics, and tires, and the Arrma is a ready to run. So we'll take a look at these sort of one at a time and kind of tell you what I see and what the characteristics of this thing are. The Tekno MT410 is pretty much just based off their race buggies and truggies. So what they did was take a ET48 vehicle with the arms, drive shafts, everything, and then just bolted onto an SCT 410.3 chassis. So it's really got the short wheelbase chassis, and then the full truggy 4S capable parts are the same. The shocks, everything else. I think shock tires are actually, the shock tires are from the SCT 410, but the arms, drive shafts, you know, spindles, hub carriers, all that stuff are really from the truggy, the A-scale stuff, and then the bumpers, body posts, and shock tires and chassis are from the SCT 410. So what they did was make a short wheelbase truggy, which is essentially what a stunt truck is. That's how they came up with the Outcast originally, and then the 4S pretty much follows in that same vein. Looking at it, as you can see, it's pretty much got their race truggy type materials, the aluminum chassis, 7075 chassis, really beefy arms, sway bars front and rear, really thick. I think they're the 16 millimeter shocks front and back, so big shocks. Suspension tuning out of the box is excellent. Very, very narrow design. You can see like the battery, the electronics, everything's bolted up right up against the center drive shaft. Actually a little bit too close in some cases. Your battery can actually hit the outdrive here. But yeah, very compact vehicle. Battery on the left, motor ESC on the right, and then the receiver tray in a kind of a weird location, but all the way there in the back. You can see there's an extra servo mount here, I think for their nitro vehicles, but yeah, pretty much this is kind of the Tekno trademark, really skinny chassis, all the weight centralized there in the middle, and then four-wheel drive. The Arrma, on the other hand, is pretty much based off their 3S lineup. So looking at it, you can see plastic tub chassis, plastic drive shaft, plastic drive shafts out to the corners. You know, tower to tower brace, a little bit different. The Tekno doesn't have that, but it does have steel differentials front and rear, and then a center slipper there in the middle. Again, battery on the left, ESC and motor here on the right, and then the receivers underneath the ESC there. So the Arrma sells for $470 at the time of this video. The Tekno as a kit, I think it normally retails at $480, but it's pretty much been on perpetual sale for under $400, somewhere around $360, $370. So I think that seems to be basically the standard price now, a little bit under $400. Now equipping it out to make it ready to run, tires are about 80 bucks for a set of 4. Motor and ESC, you know, I just have a takeoff out of a Arrma that's pretty much the same power and stuff as the Spectrum stuff, and you can get it on eBay for somewhere between $130 $150. I think I paid like $120 for mine, but if you look for deals basically from part outs, you can get basically a brand new ESC and motor combination for, you know, under $150. Servo's 40 bucks. Radio receiver, you know, if you're getting like an SLT3 on eBay, basically a part out from an Arrma, you can get one of these for like 40, 50 bucks with an SR315 receiver. So altogether, you're going to spend about another $350, maybe $50 for the body and paint. So $350 plus about $370, you're looking at about $720, $730 for a pretty comparable vehicle to the Arrma. And then, yeah, you got something ready to run with the same tires, same electronics, all that kind of stuff. And you got something very comparable for, you know, a couple $100 more, about $250 more than the Outcast. So the question is it actually worth it? You know, what do you get with $250 more than the Arrma? And then, you know, is that actually worth the money? First, I want to talk about the Arrma a little bit. Any benefits to actually buying an Arrma? Part support is going to be a little bit better with the Arrma. The Outcast, you know, it's basically owned by Horizon Hobby, which is a pretty large brand here in the United States, so easy to get parts. It does have a steel spur, which the Tekno does not. The Tekno comes with the plastic spur. It also has a decent servo saver integrated in the servo. The Tekno has a plastic servo horn. You do need to buy the aluminum one. The plastic one is just no good out of the box. Other advantages of the Outcast, it's tuned really, really well out of the box. You can just plug this thing in, start driving it, doing your stunts and stuff. Suspension is dialed, steering is dialed, all that stuff. It's pretty much set up perfectly out of the box. Slipper on mine was a little bit too tight. I do recommend loosening that a little bit if you're just like insta wheeling all the time. Yeah, it looks cool and it's nice to drive down the street, you know, doing like 100-foot long wheelies, but it is going to be a little bit tight and put a little extra wear on your drive shafts. So I do recommend loosening that a little bit. But yeah, controls, everything are excellent. The receiver's excellent. You can go ahead and bind that with any other Spectrum radio, or you could use the one included in the box. Really, really dialed vehicle. Steering's not the greatest, but stunt trucks in general don't really steer that well, so that's nothing unusual. The body is super durable as well. So again, one of the advantages of the Outcast, super beefy, super durable Outcast body. It will last a long time. Now with the Tekno, obviously, you know, I covered what is the advantages of the Arrma. Tekno, what you get is really, you get essentially a race vehicle, but in basher form. And so you may wonder, what's the difference between a race vehicle and a basher? And really, people think, oh, well, race vehicle's faster. It's not really faster. Obviously, they have the same power plant, same tires, all that stuff. That's really going to make the biggest difference. And then I would say even the tune of the Tekno is pretty poor out of the box. Think about like 100K diff fluid in the front, 100K in the middle, like 50K in the rear. That's way too thick, honestly. You will want to make some adjustments there to get to drive it a little better. So steering out of the box is quite poor. I do have a video talking about how to improve the steering on your Tekno, because I think that's something you'll want to do. It's not really set up to actually drive all that well, in my opinion. You will want to make some setup changes. That's really what you get with a race vehicle, though. It's actually the adjustments, the configuration you can do to the vehicle to get drive exactly how you want. You know, you got all these different shock tuning adjustments, different shock mounting locations. Obviously, you can tune all the diffs. You have pills inside the A, B, C, and D blocks, so you can actually adjust the toe out or the toe in, the anti-squat, lots of things like that. different sway bar mounts, tons of spring options. So really, there's two things you get with a race vehicle that you don't get in the Basher. One is that tunability, that adjustments, because race vehicles are designed to be able to work in a lot of different environments. If you're on the track, on a high traction surface, if you're on AstroTurf, carpet, loose traction surfaces, maybe huge jumps, maybe small jumps, all kinds of different areas and terrain that you need to be able to drive in. That's why there are so many adjustments, and then it's also tunable to your driving style. An RTR like the Arrma Outcast, really no adjustments at all. I mean, there's preload spacers, you can adjust the front and rear diffs, but that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot you can do with it. Fortunately, it drives quite well out of the box on any sort of stunt outdoor dirt type surface, but really if you want to drive it on different surfaces, you can't really make too many changes. It is quite limited in that area. The other area where the race truck has an advantage, or the Tekno has an advantage, is really the precision of the vehicle. Parts fitment is way better, the shocks are a lot smoother, everything just moves in concert a lot better. It's much more precise, so the accuracy of what you're controlling the vehicle with the radio and then translating that into what the truck actually does is much better. The tolerances are higher. Even the diff gears and stuff mesh a little bit cleaner, a little bit tighter, a little bit smoother. All in all, this vehicle just handles better. Not so much that it steers better or jumps better or anything like that, but it's more precise in what you do. When you turn this vehicle, yeah, you turn the vehicle and it does what you want, but this, it's down to like the millimeter. This is down to, like roughly that area is where you're going to end up. So that's really the difference between a race truck and a Basher. And so the question really is, is this more durable? Is there any other advantage of this vehicle? And if you see my review of the Outcast 4S or even the Kraton 4S V2, this does have one fatal flaw in my opinion, and that is the plastic chassis. I have nothing against plastic chassis in general. The Traxxas Max has a plastic chassis, probably the most durable RC car ever made. I don't think I've never broken the chassis on that. But this guy, between the Kraton and the Outcast 4S V2s, I've broken 5 chassis, and I'm not doing any crazy jumps with this thing that I'm not doing with the Tekno or any other vehicle. So in my opinion, that is a bit of a weakness. So you do definitely get more durability in the Tekno. There are still some weaknesses in the Tekno. You can break this plastic upper brace here. I've broken middle braces. I've bent drive shafts. I break the bumper here and there. The screws are pretty weak. So you can definitely break things on the Tekno. It's not indestructible. And actually, I would say even most of the parts on the Outcast are actually more durable than the Tekno. The Tekno is a race vehicle. It has a high level of durability. It isn't designed for huge A-scale tracks, but really it's not an all-out basher from that sense. It's just kind of a byproduct of having that 1/8 scale race heritage. But yeah, overall, definitely Tekno is more durable. Again, like I said, it is more precise, drives better, more tunable. Again, out of the box wasn't that great, but there's so many adjustments you can make to this vehicle to make it to drive exactly how you want. I do have it pretty dialed, and overall, it actually does drive better than the Outcast. Now, so the question is the Outcast worth, buying at $470 when this is closer to like $720? You obviously have a big discount for $250. And I would say, actually, if this thing out of the box as is, at $250 less, I would normally say yes, that is actually a better deal than the Tekno. The Tekno is about $720 or so. This is about $470. You're talking about a 50% premium to get the Tekno. Is it actually worth it? And in general, I would say no, because most of this vehicle is super durable. The arms are super durable, the diffs are durable. It does have a slipper, but that seems to be quite improved. Overall, this is really durable vehicle. The tires are great. You don't really need to do anything with this vehicle, but it does have one fatal flaw, and that is the chassis. And for that reason, I can't really recommend the Outcast. Normally, if the chassis held up as much as pretty much any other vehicle, I'm talking any, 8-scale vehicle like the Rival MT10 or even the Sledge chassis or something like that, I would say actually this is an excellent stunt vehicle, and you get like 90% of what you get with the Tekno, but at 2/3 of the price. So for that reason, I actually think the Outcast is a really good deal, but it does have that fatal flaw, and that's really why I can't recommend this vehicle. If they fixed that, they had another edition where they somehow improved the chassis, had it durable, maybe add a basher bar or some kind of reinforcement for that chassis, I would say actually this is a better deal than the Tekno, and probably what I would recommend in general. If you want the best, obviously, you'd buy the Tekno. If money's no object, you're going to buy the Tekno. And then because it does not really have those major weaknesses like the Outcast, I do have to go with the Tekno. this thing will break minor stuff, but it won't break any major pieces. And then there's tons of upgrades, obviously, if you want to beef it up even more. But I think out of the box, actually, it's pretty durable. It doesn't have any major flaws. Occasionally, a sway bar will fall off. You know, the bumper will break. You'll break a body post, you know, if you land it upside down. The body's not particularly durable. Definitely the Outcast body is more durable. The Outcast overall is actually super, super durable, but it's just got that chassis problem. The last thing I want to say is actually the way that the Outcast drives reminds me a ton of the Tekno. The Tekno I have pretty dialed, drives exactly how I want, and that took some fiddling, some adjustments, you know, a couple months of playing with different settings and stuff like that to get to drive exactly how I want. And I would say the Outcast out of the box pretty much drives exactly the same. It's like 95% there, but I didn't have to make any adjustments. They really nailed the suspension, the tuning, the geometry, all that stuff with the Arrma Outcast 4S. Whoever did the suspension setup, the driving, the design on this thing, they nailed it. It drives perfect out of the box. Yeah, it's got some steering issues. Maybe you want a different servo or servo saver or change the tires or something like that. But out of the box, this thing is phenomenal. Really, really good. You get pretty much the Tekno experience, but at, you know, $250 less, except for that one chassis problem. So those are my thoughts on the Tekno MT410 versus the Arrma Outcast 4S. The Outcast is really, 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 really close to being an upset over the Tekno. If they can figure out that chassis problem, I think they'll have a huge winner there, because it's almost there. Like, it almost seems like they took a Tekno MT410. They're like, okay, how can we make this, but in a much cheaper package, make an Arrma version of it, have it drive as well, and, you know, for $250 less. And they almost got it. It's really, really close, but the Tekno is still the king. You got to pay that premium though, and so if you're not doing the huge jumps, maybe you'll be okay. You really only run into the chassis durability issues when you're doing like 20-foot high jumps, double backflips. They both do the exact same thing in the air. They both do triple backflips. They're super controllable in the air. You can do front flips, tons of traction, obviously with the same tires. They drive really, really close, and that's really why I did this comparison video, because they're very similar vehicles, even though at first blush maybe they look kind of different. Anyways, let me know what you think. Do you have the Tekno? Do you have the Arrma? Which do you think is the better deal, the better buy? Which one would you recommend? Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. Look for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.